Well, I'll go ahead and get started. Thank you, everybody, for your time today. I certainly appreciate it. As Tim mentioned, we're very proud of this new release of Tracknicity for DTools that was enabled by our partnership with Tim and the team as part of their SI 18 release. What I'd like to do is take just a few minutes to go through a couple of slides on the product and then the powers in the demonstration. So I'm going to show you how DTools and Tracknicity work together, both from SI into Tracknicity, as well as the mobile app and some of the reporting that's there. So Tim, if you could jump to the next slide, please. Tracknicity for DTools is a mobile application, and it's really designed for field techs, installation techs who handle inventory for customers. Previously, in order to use Tracknicity and DTools together, you had to integrate those through QuickBooks. So we had a version of Tracknicity for QuickBooks that would integrate through QuickBooks, and then you would tie DTools in, and it just got a little convoluted. And the number one request we got was that we wanted a version that seamlessly integrated with SI. And so, as I mentioned, with the changes in SI 18, we're able to do that, and that's the introduction of Tracknicity for DTools. Tracknicity for DTools is a full inventory management function that works from both a web dashboard as well as any mobile device, any Android or iOS mobile device. The DTools integration allows users a number of different things, which I'll show you here. Primarily, you can see when you're going in to check an item for a project, you can check stock before you place a purchase order to see if you have that item in stock. You can also quickly and easily see in SI what products might be staged. So if you want to rob Peter to pay Paul for another job, you can do that. Tracknicity supports multiple locations, multiple warehouses, multiple vans. And with this release, we also added in sub-locations, so the ability to assign items to a bin or a shelf or a sub-location within the warehouse. You can do that. Tracknicity has a bunch of user configurable notifications, so min-max stock alerts, get notified when product is received, and there's very robust reporting and history. We've greatly enhanced the reporting capability of Tracknicity, being able to look at things by item, by job, by employee, etc. Tracknicity for DTools is available on an annual and a monthly subscription for $199 a month, and there's 1 month free with an annual subscription, and that's an unlimited user license. So there's no per user fees associated with it. There's no additional fees associated with X dollars per app or whatever. It's $199 per month, and that allows you to use as many users as you want in the platform. Tim, if you jump to the next slide, please. Many of you have probably taken a look at Tracknicity in the past. Most of our customers were our DTools customers. And a lot of people, when we released version 1 and the QuickBooks version, said, this is great, but I'd like to see this and this and this. And so, as I mentioned, we've enhanced a lot of functionality with the release of Tracknicity for DTools. The user interface is easier to navigate and faster. Primarily driven by greatly enhanced search capabilities, both within the web dashboard as well as the mobile app that I'll show you very shortly. As I mentioned earlier, you can now see if you have items that are staged when you're looking at an item's inventory. So instead of having to physically go back into the warehouse and see if you have an item allocated for another job and you want to rob Peter to pay Paul, you can easily see that. We've given users the ability to return items to the staging area. So previously, if you checked an item out, there was no easy way to return it and say, hey, I couldn't install this today or whatever. You can now do that. And as I mentioned, we've added bin and shelf sub-locations. The web dashboard is much faster and more responsive. We also added the ability to do transactions from the web dashboard and not just the mobile app. We found a number of companies had sort of a key person that was doing all the inventory and checkout and transactions, and instead of using a mobile device, they wanted a bigger screen and a full keyboard, so we gave them the ability to do that from the web dashboard. We've enhanced the search capabilities, and we've greatly enhanced the reporting capabilities, including reports to show you what items have been delivered for what job or over what period of time, what items are physically in your staging area or picked for a project, the ability to see that inventory in the staging area, And we've also added tracking and logging of manual adjustments. So if somebody adjusts a quantity or something like that, it shows who did that manual adjustment for auditing purposes. All of the Tracknicity data is housed in Google Web Services, so it's greatly always available, high reliable, and the like. So with that, what I would like to do is to get into a demonstration of Tracknicity. So Tim, if I can have the screen here.
All right.
Okay, and you guys should be able to see a DTools SI instance here. Tim, can you just confirm that we can see that correctly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So I've created 3 sample projects here. And what I'll do before I go into those projects is I'll show you how the setup for Tracknicity is done. So if I go in here and I go to Control Panel, I scroll down, oops, I'm already there, I guess. You'll see the Tracknicity integration here. I would click on this here, and there's an API key that when you sign up for Tracknicity, you get that you paste in here, and then you will copy and paste this key into the Tracknicity tool. And we're happy to walk you through that in the onboarding process to get you set up, but it's a pretty straightforward process. And then we go to Manage Integrations, and there's 3 key things we want to make sure that we have set up in integrations. The first is the catalog. So we need, with Tracknicity for DTools, the DTools product catalog becomes the catalog of record for Tracknicity. So obviously we need catalog products exported to integration automatically. You select the dropdown for Tracknicity, and then you can select the price type. So if you use price types, you can select which one comes over, because we do display the item sell price in Tracknicity. The next item we need is projects. So we want to set up to export projects to Tracknicity, and you can set this up whatever works best for your business rules. Most people are setting it up to set over approved projects or items in a particular status. Tasks and service orders don't really matter that much. And then the last one we really need is purchase orders. And so you want to set these up to integrate automatically to Tracknicity as well. So once you've got that set up, if I go back in here, actually I'll start in the catalog. So if I go into the product catalog here, you'll see, this is obviously my DTools product catalog. The first thing I can do in here is if I go into integrations, I can check inventory. I go to Tracknicity, and it's going to bring back my data of where those, how many of those particular items that I have. So in this case, I just did Apple TV. I can see that I have 2 in van 2. I can see that I have 9 in the warehouse. And when you see this item here, this is because I've assigned a sub-location to it. So these are on shelf 2. I have 3 in van 1. I have 3 in warehouse 2. And it looks like I have 3 that are allocated to a project. In this case, it's project Tracknicity sample 1 global 002. We bring over the project name and the project number. So for search capabilities, many companies wanted the ability to search on both, and so we bring that over. So if I just go into another item here, and you can see this is all checking in real time. It's pretty darn quick. I can see I have none of that there, but if I go to another item here, I can see that same thing again, that I have 7 in the warehouse on shelf 3. So I'm doing this in the catalog. I can obviously also do that in projects. So if I go into the project, and I'll just go into this project here. No, I don't want to do that. I go to this item here. I go to tools, check inventory. Again, I can see that item here, the Sony Blu-ray player. I have 1 in the warehouse in bin 1. I have 2 allocated to this project. So I can quickly and easily see my items that are in stock when I'm in a project and the like. If I go into purchase orders here real quick, I'm going to do a new purchase order for this job, and that's important when we get over to Tracknicity. So I'm just going to go in here and do a new purchase order, and it doesn't matter who we order it from. I'm going to go ahead and set the requested delivery date to Friday the 29th. And we're going to add some items here, and we're going to add them from the project. Oh, yes, I can check the project out. Again, you'll see in here, I've got my check inventory. So before I order this and add it, I can quickly check and I can see in this item, this LV2, yep, I've got a bunch of these in stock, so I don't need to order that. But maybe these Bosch Security DS10s I do, so I'm going to add that. And I'm going to just add an Epson projector, 3 Epson projectors actually, and I'll add one more item in here. I'm going to add some snap razor mount ads here, okay? And so I save and close my purchase order. I go back in here and I'm going to change the status to issued. And so now that I've got my purchase order created, this is going to push over to Tracknicity for this project. And it takes about a minute or two for the APIs to sync up and do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now move over to the Tracknicity web dashboard. So I've logged into Tracknicity, and I'll show you here. If I go into the DTools integration, this is where I cut and paste that API key out of here to paste into DTools. And here's where I paste my DTools key into here. I've obviously already done that, so it's set up here. So now from here, I can see a number of things. I've got my shortcuts here, and I'll start there. So first thing I can do is I can view my inventory. So I click here. Again, this is going to look similar to the product catalog that we just saw in DTools because it's pulled that product catalog. So I can go in here and I can see what items I have here. I click on it here. It gives me my history over here. So I can see that, earlier, or I guess that was earlier today, I took some product from the staging area to a job. I can see the history here. If I click here, I can view the locations. And again, it brings up the same data that I saw in SI of where those products are sitting. If it's got a little blue icon next to it, that means that it's staged and picked for that particular job. So that shows up here. This pen up here is my admin button. So I can do a number of things in here. If I go in here, I can create sublocations. So right now, these items are set to warehouse shelf 2. If I click on the caret here, it brings up my sublocations. So if I want to say I'm going to change these to shelf 4, I can do that. I can see my quantity by location in here. And if I need to do an adjustment or whatever, I can do that. So I'm going to add one to warehouse 3 here. I can set up minimum and maximum stock quantities. So right now I've got it set up so that if I always want to have 5 of these in the warehouse. And if I have less than that, it send me an alert. And I can set up a maximum stock quantity. So I have it set up if I have more than 8, send me an alert. I've learned the UPC code in for this item. So Tracknicity, the web dashboard gives you the ability to learn a UPC code in, and I'll show you that in a minute. You can only do that from the mobile app. You can't do it from the web dashboard. I can assign any open box or B stock quantity that I have here. And if I want to set a value for that, I can do that. So I'm going to save my changes here. So first thing you'll see is that it shows the history. It shows that Travis Leo did a manual adjustment to warehouse 3 of green 1, which means +1. So I can see that I have my tracking history there. And it updated my quantity available for sale here. You can see the cost and price comes over here. So again, that comes over from the DTools product catalog. So that's the first thing I can do on view inventory. You'll also see now my recent history has been updated to show this transaction over here as well. And here's my min-max stock reports down here. So if you remember, we said I want to have a minimum of 5 and a maximum of 8. Well, I actually have 9 of these in the warehouse. So this is showing up that I have more than my max. So I need to do something about it. Same thing here. I have this set up. So I have 10 of these in stock and I set a max quantity of 5. Next functionality I'll show you is the checkout item. So a couple things here. Really, this is pretty simple. You basically are selecting where you're taking the product from and where you're taking it to. There's from really has 2 main areas. The first is generally going to be the warehouse or a sub-warehouse or whatever. And that's an item that you're taking out of your stock. So this is something you have available for sale. It's not allocated to a job. You're taking it from stock. So I'm going to select warehouse, and then I'm going to select client. And when I click on client, because I exported all of my projects from DTools, it brings up my clients and my projects underneath those clients. So if I click on it, in this case, a client, it brings up my list of open projects. I select that item, or excuse me, that project. And now I can search for an item. I can add a custom item. So what I want to do first is I'm going to just search for an item, and I'm going to grab let's just grab a Leviton 80, let's just grab these 6210s, whatever these are right here. And I'm going to add 2 of them. And I can do a couple things from here. If I want to stage this item and I want to say, hey, this item is now staged for this job, I would select it here. And that's going to add it to my staging area, which I'll show you in just a second. The other thing I can do, and where the integration with DTools becomes really, really powerful, is if this is an item that isn't in the project, but I need it to finish the install, or an engineer missed something, I select this button right here. And what that's going to do is once I submit this part, and it says transaction successful, I now have an item in my approvals queue. And the approvals queue is basically just a second set of eyes on something before it gets written back to your source of record, in this case, DTools, which says, hey, in this case, we took an item from the warehouse to this project, that it's a project edition. So when I approve this, when I go back into DTools here in just a minute, which I'll do, I will see that I have an update from integration, which is basically saying, hey, you have parts that you need to add into this project, and it will generate a change order for me. So it gives me the ability to take a part straight out of inventory and add it into a job without having to add it into DTools and do everything there first. If I go back to the checkout items, and in this case, I want to take items, instead of available for sale, I want to actually check out the items that were purchased on a purchase order for this job. Instead of selecting the warehouse, I select the staging area. When I select the staging area, it's again going to automatically bring up my projects. So I'm going to go into that same job. And it brings me up a list of all of the items that have been either ordered and or received for this project. So I can see here that we've ordered 3 Apple TVs, but we haven't received them yet. I can see that we have received these. If I were to just click on this, well, that's a bad example, it hasn't been received. Click on this, and I hit submit, that's going to now show that those items have been checked out. So it makes it real easy as for a technician, and I'll show you this on the mobile dashboard as well, to quickly and easily take items and show them being taken to the job. When I want to then look at that, I go into my project reports, and it would start here, and I just start typing in the project name, and this is the search functionality that I mentioned earlier. I start typing in the project name, or I want to start typing in the project number that I use. Brings this up, I click here. First thing I can do is a couple things. I can see the budget hours for this job. So this was something that in our QuickBooks version we made available, so we didn't want to take it away in the DTools version. So we just show the detailed budget in here. Then the key pieces are right over here. So I can see what's been ordered, what came from stock, and any returns that I have done for this job as well. So I can see here that on this Crestron DMC HDO, it's been ordered, it's been received, and it's been delivered. If I click on it, I can see that it was checked out on this date, who it was checked out by. I can see the date that it was ordered. I can see the date that it was requested for delivery, and I can see the estimated delivery date as published in DTools. So if you're updating estimated delivery dates, requested delivery dates in DTools, all of that information populates over here. If I go to this, let's go to a different item here, this Liberty, well, here's those Epson projectors and those snap mounts that we just did the purchase order for, as well as the Bosch items here. I click on it here, those haven't been received. So I can see the item hasn't been checked out. All my order date came over, my requested delivery date came over, and I want to get notified when this product is received. So I'm going to click on this button right here. And what that's going to do, and I'll show you that in a minute, is when that item gets received, I'm going to get an alert on my iPhone saying, hey, this item, all of the Bosch security system DS1101s for the Doe Auditorium project have been received. So I can see that same thing here for the Epson projectors. So I can easily see all of the purchase orders and the status of those purchase orders. I click here and I can see the items that have been staged for the job that came from stock. So these are items that I took from stock and staged for the job. And again, I can see if they've been delivered, who they've been checked out by, and I can see what that date that they were checked out on. The same thing holds true for returns. So at the end of a job, if I have product to return, I do a project return, and it shows who returned it and what day those particular items were returned. All of this can be exported using this function right here to just a CSV file. So if I want to, get raw data or whatever, look at that way, I can certainly do that. If an item's old and I don't need it anymore, or something's changed, I have the ability to just quickly delete it here so it doesn't clog up my screen. You can obviously see here that the items that are highlighted in color are the ones that haven't been delivered yet versus the ones that have been delivered. So it just makes it very easily and visually easy to see what items haven't been taken to the job site yet. So that's the project reporting piece. Let me go back into the dashboard here and show you a couple of other things in here, and then I'll get into the mobile app to show you that. Actually, let me go back real quick into here, and I want to go to that purchase order that we did. And whoops, I want to do, and you guys you'll have to bear with me. I'm not the biggest DTools expert in the world. So I'm going to do an item receipt for these parts here. So I did do one here, 3 here. So I've now fulfilled this purchase order. So I'm just going to save and close that. And if I go back into that project report, it'll take just a minute for that to show up. So I'll give it just a second. I'll show you some reports while it's doing that. But when we go back in, you will see that status updated in Tracknicity. Let's see, the history basically just shows you the history by user. So I can, select a different user. You would generally have each of your techs or project managers or somebody touching inventory set up as a user here. And this search functionality makes it real easy. If you want to look for the projects that went to the Tricity residence, you just start typing Tricity. You just start typing in the product. If it's a Crestron product, it's going to bring those back. If you're looking for the person, it will do that. Or sorry, I guess I have to do Travis. It will do that. And again, all that functionality is exported here. If you have new items that you're purchased for stock, so not for a job, you have to receive those items into your inventory, and you do that right here, receive items to location. So you would just select the item that you're receiving, and you would say, I'm receiving 10 of these, and you change your quantity, or you can type it in and you submit that, and that's going to now add it into my inventory as available for sale items. Tracknicity does support serial number lookup and functionality. This does not integrate with DTools today. We'd like to do it down the road because most of our customers are keeping this information in DTools. But this does allow you to scan a serial number while on site using the mobile app, assign it to an item and a customer, and then put in some free form text around location or MAC address or whatever else might be there. So you do have the ability to do that. But again, I just caution everybody, it does not integrate with DTools today. This is its own standalone database that we designed because we wanted it to be easier to be done at the time of installation as opposed to the sort of time of programming or commissioning in the warehouse, for example. Let me go back to my reports here real quick and see if that project report has come up that we changed those items. So it went down here. Yep. So I can see my Bosch items then now, instead of showing as not received, they are showing as received. So I can see when they were ordered, the requested delivery date, all that same information. So you can see, just take a minute or two for that information to populate in here. While I'm in reports, I'll show you some of the other key reports. Inventory by location. This basically shows you what do you have available for sale. So instead of showing you all of your items, it just shows here's what you have in stock in that particular area. And if you want to then look at sub-locations, you can do that here. If you want to look at what's in the van or other warehouse, obviously you can see that here, or you can click all and see everything. And again, this export will show you everything that's in there as well. One of the most used reports is the staging area report. So this shows you every item that is in your staging area, meaning that you've ordered it and you've received it or you've staged it from stock. And so if I just start typing in Epson here, it will show me the Epson items that I have in the staging area. If I want to just look at the items for the Doe Auditorium project that are in the staging area, I can do that. Again, I can export it here. I can sort it different ways, but makes it real easy to quickly and easily find what's in the staging area for a particular job, or what parts are in the staging area in case I need to use them for a different job. And then if I say, hey, I'm taking this with me today, I would just click deliver, and now this is going to show that item is being delivered to that job. Audits are how you do cycle counts. I don't have any open audits right here. That's done on the mobile device. Quick reports, this just shows you some history of transactions. So again, you can see here, we just did that transaction where we received 10 patch cables into inventory. I can see that audit here. Again, I can export that information here. Delivered items is real nice because it allows me to see what items have been delivered for a given job over any date range that I might select here. And I can see whether they came from stock or from staging. So if you remember, we just checked out that Crestron Electronics item from the staging area. It shows up here. I can, again, pick a longer date. I can filter by, particular project, particular job number, whatever the case might be. So this report gets used quite a bit. There's some financial reports like aging items, so I can see the date an item was last used. All of this data is relatively new, so it all has a relatively new date, but it'll help you see sort of older items as you go along here. Value by location just shows you where your inventory value by location is. And one of my personal favorite reports as a business owner, being able to see where my cash is being consumed from an inventory standpoint. So just quickly looking at my most valuable items by dollar amount here is really helpful for me. The min-max stock report is exactly what shows up on the dashboard here. So I can see those items right here, same thing there. And then I can look at my total valuation of inventory here. It's just a graphic chart, but it also shows me not only what my current inventory value is, but what's in my staging area. So what's my work in progress or items that I have sitting there that are in process for a client. If I go down here to company, I'll just run through some settings real quick. You can set up to show time tracking and purchase orders. If you don't want to see them, you can hide them, but most people show them. Some people don't want staged items in their inventory valuation because they've already expensed them or whatever the case might be, so you can hide that. And this is where you do your subscription setting. Inventory locations make it real easy. You just add a location. You would just say, truck 2, and now I have a new location for truck 2. I can then edit that. If I want to add a sub-location, I can do that. If I go into an item place where I already have some sub-locations, I see those sub-locations show up. And if I want to assign items to those sub-locations, I can very easily do that here. And I can say that all of my Brevo, these are now assigned to that sub-location. You can assign users to a specific vehicle or warehouse location, whatever the case might be. Users are set up here, and you just add a user, very simple to do. Within a user, you can give them a couple of privileges. You can give them admin rights, which gives them the ability to manually change quantities and learn UPC codes, receive items. You can also set up some permissions. So if you don't want people to see item cost or sell amounts, you can do that. and then you can set up notifications here for who receives request notifications, min-max stock alerts, etc. So what I'd like to do real quick is switch over to the mobile app and show you that here. So I'm gonna do this, and you guys should hopefully be able to see my iPhone screen here. So first thing you'll see is, if you remember, we set up a notification to get alerted when those Bosch DS1101 pieces have been received. So on my lock screen of my iPhone here, I can see that for the Doe Auditorium GLOBA 0001 project, all of those have been received. So great, I can easily see that. I'm in the Tracknicity mobile app here. So just like I can check out items in the web dashboard, I can do the same thing here. It looks very similar. Where this becomes very powerful is if I go to the staging area, and I'm automatically prompted for the client. I select the job. I can easily see on my phone the items that have been ordered, received, etc. If I say I'm going to take these and these to the job right here, I click submit, and boom, those are now checked out. Maybe I'm taking an item from the warehouse and I'm taking it to a client. Select the same client. From here, I can either browse for the item that I'm taking. So I can say, I'm just using the same functionality. I can search, so I can just use search functionality, and I can say I want Cisco, and so start doing that. Or I can use a UPC code. I click scan. This brings up my phone piece here. I can take a serial number and I can scan a UPC code. If I had learned that UPC code in, it would know that it was that item. I just happened to grab that code here. So I can scan that if the item has a UPC code. If I wanted to add it to a project, just like we did on the web dashboard, I would click here. But that's effectively the exact same way that you function and do things there. Items, I can quickly look at items for a job. So again, we're looking at that same Doe job that we were looking at. If I go down here to that item we just did a purchase order of and click on it, I can see the item order date, I can see the requested delivery date, and I'm doing this all without going into DTools. I'm just looking at it all within Tracknicity right here. Again, I can see what came from stock and what was returned. If I want to see what's in the staging area, I can quickly click on the staging area here, and it brings up all of my items that are in the staging area. If I am looking for a particular part and I need a snap AV, I just start typing in SNA, brings that up. So I can easily see what's in the staging area here. And I can also obviously see items that are available in my warehouse by clicking here, and brings up my list and my items. Sublocations are done right here. So if I want to see what items are in, if I go in here, I can see my items that are here. Again, my pen here allows me to edit this. Actually, let me just select a different item, show you how to learn a UPC code. So if I go to this item right here, and I click this button here, I go to UPC. I'm going to use that same UPC code that I had, and now it just learned that barcode as that item. So I save that there, and that's because I have the administrator privileges that allow me to do that. In the essence of time, I want to be sensitive. There's some other, I can see my history here. If I want to submit a request to a warehouse person or to an inventory person for a part or a piece, I would do that here by just clicking on submit a request. And that's an iOS notification that goes across there. There's other, this is where I can do some other functionality, check inventory, serial number. Again, it all looks very similar to what you saw on the web dashboard. So the last piece I want to do is I want to go back to DTools real quick. And I want to go back to that Doe Auditorium project, and I'm going to check the file out. And it's going to tell me, no, not this. It's going to tell me that I have one update from integration. Would you like to update the project? So I'm going to click yes. And it shows that I have an update from Tracknicity on this date. So I click update. it brings in those two Leviton 6110s that we clicked earlier that were an add to the project. So I'm going to import those. Oops. I click OK. It's going to say I already have a change order open on this one. If I didn't, it would prompt me for a new change order. So I'm just going to go ahead and add those there. And now those have been added into the project. So I can see here that I have these two items highlighted in green here that have been added to the project. They come across in an unassigned location, an unassigned system, because obviously when their Tracknicity doesn't know where to put them, so you do have to do the assignment in here, but makes it pretty simple and straightforward to do that. And with that, I think that's it from a demonstration standpoint of showing kind of the key functionality of Tracknicity. There is a fair amount more behind all of this and go into detail, but in the essence of time, I think that hopefully you kind of get the gist of how you start in SI, go to Tracknicity, and then adds in Tracknicity get written back to SI. There's a lot of inventory solutions out there. So I always ask the why question, why Tracknicity? Hopefully you've seen over the last 40 minutes that it works with DTools out of the box. It's very inexpensive and easy to deploy. You're not buying special hardware. You're using the devices that your techs and your field people already have. Multiple locations, no additional costs. You're not paying per warehouse or per vehicle or per user. It's cloud-based and always available. I think it's pretty easy to use, both the web dashboard and the mobile app. We've put a lot of time and energy into changing that around and making it a lot more functional and a lot more searchable. The notification engine is real powerful. Inventory used to be sort of an afterthought of custom electronics companies. With supply chain the way it is now and the inability to finish projects, keeping items in stock is really much more important than it ever used to be. And getting notified when backordered items come in so you can finish a job is incredibly important. So Tracknicity gives you that ability, very simple, very easy out of the box. And as I showed you in the demo, it's easily manageable. You don't need a PhD in anything really to figure this out. Quite frankly, if most of you are DTools experts and can figure that out and obviously have, this is going to be a walk in the park. To get started with Tracknicity, it's pretty simple. You just go to tracknicity.com and sign up for the subscription service there. Once you've done that, we'll get a notification and we'll help you add the DTools tokens from SI18. You do need to be on SI18, so if you're not on SI18, you have to upgrade to SI18 to take advantage of this. We'll get your your integration settings activated in SI18, and the initial product catalog does usually, you can set it up to export immediately. It happens overnight right after you get your integration set up. And then once you do that, we contact you to schedule a free onboarding session, get your users set up, get your little bit of quick training done, and you're off and running. And then we're here to answer questions and support it as we go. So that's really it. It's pretty straightforward. Tracknicity.com is the web address. Pretty simple to go and sign up. Just make sure you select the DTools version. If you want to use that, you can still use the QuickBooks version if your business runs off of QuickBooks, but my guess is you're here because your business runs off of DTools and most people would want the DTools version.